Hi, it's Amanda, Creative Gardener, and we've had a little trim of our mahogany tree. It was getting really massive. There has been, well, not necessarily two casualties, but two dwellings. But let's have a look in the studio, because I didn't even realise how much shade the tree was giving. So when you come into my studio, this is the main light, but all of this light here was being obscured. So I was just like, oh my gosh, why is it so bright in here? Anyway, let's go and check and see what else is going on with this tree. Oh. Okay, so we had it cut yesterday, and this is a lot of the fallout. It just seems really messy. I think it's because, you know, the leaves haven't yet turned brown. The mahogany leaves all turn brown, and generally speaking, it usually falls here, and there's a little kind of valley on the other side of this makeshift white shelf fence, and yeah. When it breaks down, it provides the soil under here is just so rich. It's gorgeous. I always, when I'm filling up pots, this is where I will take it from, and again, it will just break down over time. So I had it cut back. I think there's some insects living in here, because every now and again, well, the last time I saw, there was at least, it looked like at least 1,000 little like moths, and it's ones that the bats like. We've got a community of bats living in my neighbour's garage. Yeah, so we had the guy cut it down, and I may need to just trim off a few of the sections, you know, just to give it, okay, you're starting from here, and then it'll grow back. We cut this back the last time was, say, 2 years ago. So every 2 years we give it a trim. I think we probably need to do it more frequently. The wood, the mahogany wood, is, you know, used in furniture, and the wood is really lovely. I've worked a little bit with it. I just realised you couldn't see very much. It's where I'm standing in the light there. Little weller there. So I think where this was cut back, this bit was cut back way before, you know, we moved in. So where you can see the bark stripping off, I think that's where the moths, I don't know, lay their eggs. And every now and again, they'll release themselves, usually at night. The last time I saw it, I was just like, what is going on here? And I just saw them all kind of drifting up. Luckily, the wind blows, so where I'm standing, the wind blows in that direction, so they all blew off in that direction. And then the ones that were slow movers got eaten by the bats. Anyway, so unfortunately, there was 2 nests. So this is probably either a little sparrow's nest or a banana quit, which is a bird with a yellow breast. And the other nest, I put it here, and it looks like hopefully they're rebuilding. I felt so bad, because then when the guy had left, the birds came back thinking, where's our home? I just felt really bad. I was just like, yeah, I was gutted, really. And I had this tree cut back a bit. But yeah, they casted so much shadow in the garden, not only for my studio, but the plants around here. Let's just have a look. Here's Coley. It's his normal spot. He sits there and looks out for mongoose. Not a mongoose family. So these plants along here, I'm in the process of just again creating a hedge, and they were finding it difficult because the plants came over this airspace here. So they were leaning forward this way, and it was just like, yeah, no, I don't want them to do that. So now they can actually grow up straight and create the hedge that I was creating. We've got this, it's the orange scented leaf and the Pride of Barbados here growing. I've got some papaya and Jamaican guinea or Barbadian ackee, and then I've got the tropical black sage at the end. Yeah, so I'm pleased that these all can now grow up straight. I'm just going to trim them a bit on either side, and then that will be a hedge. Over time it will thicken up because I've interspersed these plants sort of like every 12 inches. So by the time they spread out like this, you know, it will create a nice hedge effect. And then behind them we've got the scaevola. So this is the valley I was talking about. When it rains, this floods. I guess it's like a giant swale. But and it would be feeding the roots of these plants, so that's good, I guess. So we've got scaevola, we've got pomegranate. My elephant ears, I'm going to have to look at that, because when he was chopping, and the mahogany branches are really heavy, it was all falling over here. I was just like, oh, please don't damage my plants. So once these have grown up, I can remove this white. It was my fence to keep coal in, and then I put the black plastic there so that he couldn't see, because he was just like whining a lot. When he could see me working out in the garden when he was little, he was whining a lot, and so I put up the black plastic, so he was fine. He just played over in his section. So I still need to cut back this. This is a clemmer cherry. This is growing. It was holding up part of the fence, and again it started from a stick, but it just spreads itself all over the place. So yeah, just gonna neaten up some of the space. So let's see what we're doing with what's been chopped. So I got them to leave it here, and yep, this is a lot of tree to take care of. We've got 3 different types of trees here. The orange smelling one, I can never remember the name. I have to really look at it, and I think it begins with an A. We've got the mahogany, and then we've got the clemmer cherry. So what I do with these is I often use the wood, small branches like this. I use them as stakes around the beds. I use the leaves as chop and drop. And what my son does with, just leave that there. What my son does with the thicker branches is use them, they do beach bonfires. And apparently the mahogany wood burns really well. So does the, once it's dry, so does the, the moringa tree. Anyway, so let's have a look and see what I do. So I put the leaves and I use them as chop and drop. So this is the, again, because we're coming out of the dry season into the rainy season, And so I put all of these, will be putting all of these on the beds. It's going to be amazing, the amount of, and then once it breaks down and everything. And as I say, there's 3 different types. So I will generally leave the mahogany tree. I usually leave that till last because it takes the longest to break down, and so the others can be breaking down and doing their business, and then this breaks down and it just provides, stops the moisture from leaving the beds. So let's have a look and see where we've placed some so far. So what I usually do is the ones that drop along here, so I'm going to clear this, and I usually just put that here because this is another area where I had to actually build this up with the rocks from around the garden. It was a lot lower, so I had to build it up a bit, but it's still sloping. I think over time, as the rains have fallen, it can get very, we've had, the hurricanes can sometimes be really, really, we don't get as much damage. A lot of places get flooded. In the past one, we had people, lose their roofs and things like that, and houses damaged. So I'll put the leaves along here, and again, it stops it from being as muddy. And then the ones that I'd cut a few of the leaves from the mahogany. So I've just been putting them on the bed. So these ones have just died down. And yeah, it just provides a covering. And I put the grass leaves along here. See, all of this has happened over time because when I first created the beds, I'd removed all the stones. Now I haven't put in stones, but these have appeared. As the soil runs off, it then leaves the rocks, and that's why it's important to make sure that the beds are covered so there's no erosion of the soil. And the leaves I'm going to be putting down now are going to provide that coverage, and then break down and but once it's broken down, it provides it just turns into soil itself, like here. So these are Mexican sunflower that I put here, but on these main beds. So I love the way, we'll just look at this section. So you may be able to see the posts that I put in. So they're the stakes. So what I'll do is intersperse some new stakes, because these ones are just going to rot and, decompose. So just to keep these beds nice and to keep in the leaves that I've placed there. And yeah, it's going to look really nice once I've finished. But I'll probably show you that for another week, how the beds have turned out. This one, oh no. See, in some of the beds I've used different types of leaves. So when I was cutting back the pomegranate tree, I've just left the leaves here, and they've died down pretty quickly. And then this is the Mexican sunflower. So it's interesting to see the different colours that they turn. We've got the Mexican sunflower here. We've got the pomegranate leaves that have turned that's a nice shade of brown. And then we've got the mahogany tree leaves here, which again are going to take a lot longer to break down. And this is the trumpet tree leaves, which I like the texture of. And I'm again thinking about using that some way, in a creative way. But yeah, that's what's happening next in the garden. I'm just making sure that all the beds are covered so that the water can be conserved on the beds when it does rain. It's going to be a really lush time in the garden. So it's important for me to get all of this done again, this is the mahogany tree leaves. It's important to get all of this done before it does start to, starting to rain more frequently. And yeah, the garden goes through another stage where it's like the grass has to be cut every 2 weeks or every week. Well, not every week, we never cut it every week, but somebody's getting their grass cut on a daily basis. But to protect the beds and to make sure that the plants that are here have the best environment to live in. You know, just like the richness of the forest, that's what I'm trying to create. You know, you are going to, when a tree or a plant dies, it drops and it falls and decomposes. The animal life there, thrive. So we don't want the animal life, but the necessary beneficial bugs and living here, and that the microbes in the soil, they're the richest that they can be, and the fruit that is being harvested, growing, are going to be the biggest that they can be, because they've got a wonderful start. This is my Suriname cherry. It's just really, again, because of the rain, and it's really flourishing. Anyway, so that's the mahogany tree, and you can see it from this side. It looks a bit kind of, worse for wear, but in a couple of weeks it's going to have new growth, and there's going to be leaves springing out. You see that? Yeah, there's going to be leaves springing out, and it's going to look different. But I really do. Should we got some here? I really do. Hey, Cole, what are you doing? Say goodbye. I really do like having more light come into the studio. So with that, I'm going to get on, because there's lots to do, and I will see you soon. If you've got any questions, then please pop it down in the comments. Say hello, let me know where you're from, and I'll see you soon.